Hello and good evening with me, Lee Anthony Davis, recording live from my YouTube channel. Tonight it's the Doctor Who quiz night featuring the Dalek Invasion of Earth. But before we start, just a few announcements and shout outs to make. Firstly, I'd like to make an apology to two of my members for not giving a mention of their birthdays. The members in question are John Koenig and Jester Roder, who have celebrated their birthdays on Sunday gone. So I do apologise to both of you, and I hope you enjoyed your birthdays, and I'll try and make an effort to check everything that comes through. So I do apologise to those two gentlemen, and I hope you forgive me. Anyway, moving on to a few more announcements. I will be launching my new page on Facebook called The Horror Page tomorrow, which is an extension of the horror group. This will cover everything horror, and also I'll be launching two more groups as well during the week, and they will be basically the Carry On group, which is the Carry On films obviously, and of course the other one is the Hammer Horror group, which is basically everything to do with Hammer. So they'll be released. I'll be launching the horror page tomorrow. I'll be launching the Hammer Horror group on Thursday, and of course I'll be launching my other group, the Carry On group, on Friday. So they are the most important things for this week. So anyway, I want to also thank everyone for joining my group. So I really appreciate that because, you know, without you joining, the groups are nothing really. You know, that's what I do them for. I get the fun of people joining and enjoying them. It's no fun if you're doing it for numbers, you know, because numbers means that you're just trying to build the group up big and everything. And if people are not genuine, they won't stay, you know. So I want genuine people in the group, obviously, and that way the group will sort of have its own credibility, and people will say that it's a great group because the only people that join this group are people that really do care about that subject. So anyway, I'd like to thank every one of you, all of the groups that have joined, and I want to say thank you very much because I owe you a lot. Thank you very much. Anyway, also, I'll be giving details on Twitter and Facebook on those groups as well tomorrow. So look out for that. Right, it's that time again when you need a pen and paper as we prepare to play the Doctor Who quiz. So now is that time again to leave the room and find one basically quickly, because you guessed it, it's time for the musical interlude. So here's your chance to leave the room quickly. Right, here we go. Warning. Your eardrums are about to be subjected to the most excruciating sound. I close my eyes, drew back the curtain, to see for certain, what I thought I knew. Far, far away, someone was weeping, but the world was sleeping. Any dream will do. I wore my coat with golden lining, bright colors shining, wonderful and new. And in the east the dawn was breaking, and the world was waking. Any dream will do. A crash of drums, a flash of light, my golden coat flew out of sight, then the colors faded into darkness, I was left alone. May I return to the beginning, the light is dimming, and and the dream is two. The world and I, we are still waiting, still hesitating, any dream will do. Right, okay, the nightmare's over. You can bring your pets back into the house and yourself back into the room. So are you armed with a pen and paper? Because I will be giving the answers when I read the questions out once again. Also, as you know, for a bit of fun, give yourself a point for every one you get right and minus a point for every one you get wrong. So let's play the Doctor Who quiz featuring the Dalek Invasion of Earth. And here goes the first question. Question 1. What was the date and the year the first episode aired? What was the date and the year the first episode aired? Was it A, 19th of November 1964? Was it B, the 20th of November 1964? Or was it C, the 21st of November 1964? Question 2. Who directed this adventure? I repeat, who directed this adventure? Was it A, Mervyn Pinfield? Was it B, Richard Martin? Or was it C, Waris Hussein? Question 3. What century was this adventure set? I repeat, what century was this question set? Was it A, the 21st? Was it B, the 22nd? Or was it C, the 23rd century? Question 4. Who was the leader of the rebels? Who was the leader of the rebels? Was it A, was it Corbyn? Was it B, Dortmund? Or was it C, Reuben? Question 5. What do the Daleks do with the prisoners when they capture them? Was it A, they are exterminated? Is it B, they are turned into robo-men because they are robotised by the machines? And C, they are turned into slaves, which amounts to the same thing, doesn't it, really? Right, question 2. Question 6. And this is a two-part question. So here's the first part of question 6. Who played one of the rebels, Wells? Who played one of the rebels, Wells? Was it A, Windsor Davies? Was it B, Nicholas Smith? Or was it C, Trevor Bannister? Right, here's the second part to question 6. Question 6B. What comedy did this actor eventually went on to go on and star in, which became a big hit? I'll repeat that again. What comedy did that actor eventually? Well, what famous sitcom did he eventually go on to after? But obviously, this was, you got to remember, this was in the 60s. This comedy I'm talking about, as I'll give you a clue, it was in the 1970s. He went on to appear in that and became a household name. So I'll say that again. What comedy did this actor go on to star in? Was it A, It Ain't Half Hot Mom? Was it B, Are You Being Served? Or was it C, Man About the House? Question 7. What method did the rebels use to gain access to the Dalek base? Was it A, they were helped by someone on the inside? Was it B, one of them dressed up as a Roboman and the rebels pretended to be the prisoners? Or was it C, they stormed the Dalek base? Question 8. Bernard Kay, I'll say that again. Bernard Kay, who played one of the rebels, Carl Tyler, also appeared in 2 other stories of Doctor Who. Can you name them? Bernard Kay, who played one of the rebels, Carl Tyler, also appeared in 2 other stories of Doctor Who. Can you name them? Was it A, The Sensorites and Planet of the Daleks? Was it B, The Crusades and Colony in Space? Or was it C, The Reign of Terror and The Curse of Paladin? Right, moving on to question 9. Here we go. What area was the mine situated? In what part of, I'll say it again, it's actually in England, so at least you know what area I might be talking about when I mention these 3 possible answers. What area was the mine situated? Was it A, Hertfordshire? Was it B, Bedfordshire? Or was it C, Lancashire? Question 10. When the Doctor and Ian were exploring the warehouse, what did they find? Was it A, the rebels' hideout, B, a dead body, or was it C, the Daleks waiting for them to sabotage, to sort of come out from behind a door or something, you know, that sort of thing. The surprise of attack, right, as they call it. So it's one of those three. Question 11. When the Dalek came towards the Doctor and Ian in that iconic moment at the end of the first episode, where did the Dalek emerge from? Was it A, from the sky? Was it B, out of the Thames? Or was it C, under the ground? My mouth's a little bit dry, so please forgive me. I'll repeat those three possible answers again. Was it A, from the sky? Was it B, out of the Thames? Or was it C, under the ground? Question 12. How did the Daleks gain control of planet Earth? How did the Daleks gain control of planet Earth? Was it A, by attacking the population? Was it B, by unleashing a plague on the population? Or was it C, by camouflage through meteor bombardment? Right, question 13. Unlucky for some. Robomen, under the orders of the Daleks, placed a bomb that could wipe out London. Who disarmed the bomb? I repeat that again. The Robomen, under the orders of the Daleks, placed a bomb that could wipe out London. Who disarmed that bomb? Was it A, the Doctor? Was it B, David? Or was it C, Susan? Question 14. What creature roamed the mines and also used by the Black Dalek as a pet and also as a watchdog? And it was also, it loved human flesh, or it got hold of anything it could to eat. Was it A shriven Zal? Was it B, a sliver or sliver, whatever you call it, whatever way you pronounce it, whatever way you come at it? Or was it B, C, a Drashig? Question 15. When Barbara and Jenny were prisoners of the Daleks, what story did Barbara use as a diversion? Was it A, the French Revolution? Was it B, the Boston Tea Party? Or was it C, Winnie the Pooh? Question 16. Who gives orders for the Robomen to attack the Daleks? Who gave the orders for the Robomen to attack the Daleks? Was it A, David? Was it B, Carl? Or was it C, the Doctor? Right, moving on to question 17. Who diverted the bomb that the Daleks dropped? Who diverted the bomb that the Daleks dropped? In other words, that magnetised bomb that was meant to hit the Earth's core so they could sort of use it as an engine or whatever. Some strange storyline they added in. Like the Cybermen did, they put a propulsion unit into a propulsion engine into the planet so they could move the planet around, as you recall, in the 10th planet. And the Daleks were hoping to do the same with the Earth. They weren't wanting to invade it, which is a sort of an oxymoron, if you see what I mean. It's more of a basically a way of they were actually invading it for another reason. They didn't want to populate the Earth. They wanted to use the planet for its minerals and stuff like that. But we won't go into that. Let's see. So who dropped it? Was it A, Barbara? Was it B? No, not who dropped it. Who diverted it, sorry. Who placed the wood to stop over the hole where the bomb was meant to eventually drop into. But one of them actually put wood across it so it'd be diverted to another direction, which caused the end of the Daleks, obviously. It sort of magnetised the Daleks into complete annihilation. If you watched it, you know what I mean. Was it A, Barbara? Was it B, the Doctor? Or was it C, Ian? Question 18. What causes a volcano? What was the cause of the volcanic eruption? What was the cause of the volcanic eruption? Was it A, the bomb that was dropped caused it? Was it B, the destruction of the mine? Or was it C, the explosion caused a crack in the Earth's surface? Question 19. When Susan is left behind on Earth, who does she settle down with? Remember that momentous moment when the Doctor gave his great speech and he was actually leaving his granddaughter behind, Susan? that was the moment, and she stayed behind, and apparently she married this guy. But I don't think that would be possible. I don't think the writers would have wrote it that way. But she stayed behind and she settled down with this so-called human. But unfortunately for him, being from a different century, I don't think she would have settled down. I think she wanted to be doing what the Doctor do, and that is to go exploring. So I'm sure, being a Time Lord herself, yes, she's a Time Lord, I think she would have found a way. So I don't think that would have been possible to live her life like that. I'm sure, as you knew, in the Five Doctors, she actually was reunited with her grandfather, played by William Herndl, I think it was. Not too sure. You'll probably correct me on that pronunciation. But she was in it and she was reunited. It was the one where the Dalek came out of nowhere and was firing at them. So they cleverly used the mirrors for the energy beam to bounce off and deflect back onto the Dalek. Remember that, the Fifth Doctors? That was the anniversary of 1983 to celebrate 20 years of Doctor Who. Anyway, I don't think you need to know that. But anyway, who did she stay behind with? Was it A, Carl? Was it B, David? Or was it C, Baker? Right, final question coming up. Question 20. What did Susan leave on the floor when she walked away? What did Susan leave on the floor when she walked away? Was it her photograph of her grandfather? Was it B, a TARDIS key? Or was it C, a mobile phone? Oh, I think you know the answer to that one. Right, that's it. We're now moving on to the second section where we give the questions and the answers. Right, so are you ready? Let's play the second part of this Doctor Who quiz featuring the answers as well. So let's start off, as we always do, with question 1. What was the date and year the first episode aired? Was it A, 19th of November 1964? Was it B, the 20th of November 1964? Was it C, the 21st of November 1964? The answer is C, the 21st of November 1964. Question 2. Who directed this adventure? Who was the director, in other words? Was it A, Mervyn Pinfield? Was it B, Richard Martin? Or was it C, Waris Hussein? The answer is B, Richard Martin. Question 3. What century was this adventure actually set in? Was it A, the 21st century? Was it B, the 22nd century? Or was it C, the 23rd century? The answer is B, the 22nd century. Question 4. Who was the leader of the rebels? Was it A, Corbyn? Was it B, Dortmund? Or was it C, Reuben? Well, let's have a look. Obviously, Corbyn wasn't even a leader of his own party, let alone leader of the rebels. So, as you know, I threw that one in deliberately because it rhymed with Reuben, Corbyn. Well, sort of. But I just thought of that when I was talking about leaders. Or shall I say false leaders. So Corbyn's out, which he was eventually anyway, and Reuben, more of an Israelite name, isn't it? Jewish name, Reuben. Famous director, I think. You have a lot of Reubens in television, don't you? But I don't know, you can quote me on that one. I just picked that one out the hat because I'm Jewish myself, so there you have it. Well, my family are. I disowned the religion because I wanted to be free, and I didn't want to be sort of sanctified into the religious, wearing a Yiddiya cap. That's the thing you put on the top of your head. And going to funerals and doing a lot of wailing, and also you couldn't eat certain foods. You had to eat the foods that were given to you, like salt beef and lokshen soups and dumplings and things like that, and the 7 candles, you know, the praying and stuff. No, not for me, thanks. But my family are Orthodox Jews, so I've got every respect for them. But unfortunately, as I grew older, I felt silly. A lot of people were taking a mickey out of me wearing the Yiddiya hat, the Yiddiya cap it's called, a Yiddiya cap. And my favourite food though from eating all that Jewish food was these what you call water biscuit things called matzahs. Loved them. They were lovely. I loved them with butter. But anyway, we won't get into that. No, I am not Orthodox Jew. My family were. They came from Poland, so you know, it'll give you an insight. I did mention it on Twitter once that sadly my parents' family didn't quite get out of Poland in time because of what the oncoming storm that actually happened. I am actually from my mom's side, because she's a Christian, but my dad's side was from the Orthodox Jewish section, so therefore his side came from Poland, you know. So anyway, I won't go into all that. It's pointless talking about that. It's not the time and the place, but I thought I'd mention it. Getting to the sort of food I like, mozzas. I love mozzas. Okay, so there you have it. Right, anyway, moving on. Yes, the answer was Dortmund. Right, question 5. That's B. Question 5. What do the Daleks do with the prisoners they capture? Was it A, they are exterminated? Was it B, they are turned into Robomen? Or was it C, they are turned into slaves? Well, yes and no. I'd say it does have a sort of relation to both answers. Robomen are slaves, let's face it, but the main point here is that they are turned into Robomen. So the answer is B. I put in that they are turned into slaves, but it would have a sort of poignant view to the actual answer. So I decided to put it in anyway. But obviously, you know, if you've watched it, you'll know that the Doctor and whoever's with him were half turned into Robomen, but they got the rebels got them out in time. So, but they are actually slaves when you look at it. If you dress it down to what it is, they are slaves. They are slaves to the Daleks, and they have no mind of their own. They're controlled by the Daleks, you know. The technology they used in them days in the 60s. Anyway, so there, the answer is B. They are turned into Robomen. And enough waffle. Right. Question 6. This is a two-part question, if you recall. Question 6A. Who played one of the rebels, Wells? Who played one of the characters who was a rebel called Wells? Was it A, Windsor Davis? Was it B, Nicholas Smith? Or was it C, Trevor Bannister? Now, the answer is B, Nicholas Smith. Now, this takes me on to my second part of the question 6. What comedy did that actor go on to star in, which was very popular at the time? It was a big hit. For Croft and Perry, the writers, of course, who had a lot of good stuff. Remember, they did Ain't Half Up Mum, they did Hello Hello, they did Dad's Army, of course, but they did this one as well. It started off, the first episode, believe it or not, started off in black and white, and it was probably a year later when they did the other proper series to go with series 1, because that was released early in 1972. So in 1973 they did the other 5, which came out in 1973 actually, and one of those episodes featured the lovely, delectable, delightful Joanna Lumley. But in them days she just played small parts, you know, but she was a big woman, but a lovely woman. And then she's gone on from strength to strength, because she's also appeared in Stepped on Son, and she did a lot of walk-in parts, you know, but at that time she was doing small parts. She's an ex-model, and she comes from India, would you believe, like Felicity Kendall. So, you know, Felicity Kendall from The Good Life, you know, Barbara Good, lovely, excellent, beautiful, delicious, you could say. Anything you could put to beauty, she had it. That's Felicity Kendall. Obviously, I heard Cliff Richard came from India as well. So they're not homegrown from this country. Sometimes they come from other countries, but they move here. It takes me to Watterson. What's her name? A guy called Sam Watterson. And her daughter, his daughter, not her daughter, sorry. His daughter is called Zoe. Sorry, not Sam Watterson. Sam Wanamaker. Sam Wanamaker, so you know who his daughter is, Zoe Wanamaker. And he had to flee America because of the McCarthy witch hunts, you know, because remember, the filmmakers were being hunted down for their views on their politics, you know, like there was a lot of people that liked the sort of socialist view, but unfortunately America were in panic-stricken mode. This was at the height of the Cold War, and unfortunately Sam Wanamaker was ousted. He was seen as a traitor, so he decided, to hell with you lot, I'm going to Britain. where they'll welcome me with open arms. And he did. He went to Britain and took his daughter with him, Zoe, and she became one of our best actresses in the country. So America's loss, Britain's gain, as I say. Anyway, never mind all that. But yeah, getting to the point, it was a lovely Jonah Lumley. She actually came from India. That's why she defended. She's also a great campaigner for causes. Remember, she defended the Gurkhas' right to stay in this country because they fought for us. Because they're very brave soldiers, and I think they're from Burma or something. And she defended them, and she won her case against them. I don't know if you remember it. It was about it was about 2007 when the Labour government was on its way out, and they started to have all sorts of problems with Gordon Brown doing those immortal words under a microphone, not knowing anyone was listening. He's saying that damn woman, that one that questioned him before he got into the car, and that lost him a lot of voters, obviously. But we all knew what he was like anyway. And Jonah Lumley won her case against a minister who had to resign because he lost. And she was in the right, and she was determined to defend the Gurkhas to stay in this country. They have every right. They fought for our country. They are the most bravest soldiers, and they will certainly watch our soldiers' backs when it comes to a combat situation. So they are so yes, they have a right. I think they were retired Gurkhas, and they had I think the then government wanted to kick them out, saying that they don't have a right to be here. Of course they have a right to be here. That's politicians for you. They don't have a right to be here, but that's another story. Right, okay. So getting to the point, yeah, Jonah Lumley was in Are You Being Served, but Nicholas Smith was actually the man that played Wells, the character in the Dalek Invasion of Earth. And he did a few other things, obviously, but he went on to make his name as Mr. Rumbold in Are You Being Served? So anyway, getting on with moving on, but the answer is B. He went on to do Are You Being Served and played Mr. Rumbold. Right, question 7. What method did the rebels use to gain access to the Dalek base? Was it A, they were helped by someone on the inside? Was it B, one of them dressed up as a Robo-Man and the rebels pretended to be prisoners? And C, they stormed the Dalek base. Well, the answer is one of them dressed up as a Robo-Man and the rebels pretended to be prisoners. So it's prisoner and escorts, basically. Just to get in there. Just give me a sip of me water. 1 second. I don't want any hiccups because that'll be sort of outrageous. Going hiccup. You know what I mean? That would be bloody daft. So I always have a glass of water just to stop the hiccups, just in case because it's trapped gas basically in your stomach, but you don't want to know that. We're not here for biology, for God's sake. Right, okay, so it was one of them dressed up as a Robo-Man, so the rest of the rebels could be sort of sneak in that way as prisoners, and then they attacked. As you saw in the film with Peter Cushing, they did exactly the same with one of them dressing up as a Robo-Man, and the other one, and the prisoners, armed with bombs, obviously, dressed up as were escorted by this Robo-Man. But Sector 12, he said he was from, and the Dalek says there isn't a Dalek patrol on Sector 12, and that's when they attacked. Obviously, the game was up, so they knew they had to come out. And it was basically done with the same way with the Daleks Invasion of Earth on Doctor Who television. Right, okay, moving on. Question 8. Bernard Kay, who played one of the rebels, Carl Taylor, also appeared on 2 other stories of Doctor Who. Can you name them? Was it A, The Censorites and Planet of the Daleks? Was it B, The Crusades and Colony in Space? Or was it C, Reign of Terror and The Curse of Paladin, whatever way you pronounce it. Right, the answer is C, The Reign of Terror and The Curse of Paladin. Sorry, no, it was wrong. I'm wrong. I do apologise. I'll retract my statement there. The actual answer is, sorry, because you've been Doctor Who fans, you'll know this anyway. It's B, The Crusades and Colony in Space. The Crusades was the one with William Hartnell, and it was to do with the Saracens and King Richard, and he was the leader of the Saracens in that. And in Colony in Space, he played one of the miners, you know, the prospectors in with the ICM robots. And basically he was a prospector, and he eventually stayed behind when it was all over, you know, when the fighting was over. This is where we get the Master playing the adjudicator, you know. And I love that line saying, "Doctor, isn't it always the saddest part when a stray bullet always claims its victim?" As he points his gun towards him. Brilliant, Roger Delgado, brilliant. So anyway, the answer is the Crusades and Colony in Space. That's B. Right, we're moving on to, if I can find it, here we go. Question 9. What area was the mine situated in England? Because it was set in England, obviously. What area was the mine situated? Was it A, Hertfordshire? Was it B, Bedfordshire? Was it C, Lancashire? The answer is Bedfordshire, B. Question 10. When the Doctor and Ian were exploring the warehouse, what did they come across? Or what did they find? Was it A, the rebels' hideout? Was it B, a dead body? Or was it C, the Daleks waiting in ambush? The answer is B, a dead body. Which was a Robo-Man, obviously, had been killed by one of the rebels. But unfortunately, he tried to hide his body behind a badly, shall I say, constricted cardboard boxes, which, you know, if you blew them with your mouth, they'd fall all over the place. But he tried to camouflage the boxes over the dead man, and it was Ian who found the dead body, but the Doctor was with him, so, as you know, it was a dead body. Anyway, question 11. Moving on swiftly. When the Doctor came towards the Doctor, what am I talking about? When the Dalek came towards the Doctor and Ian in that iconic, I seem to be saying the wrong words at the wrong time. Well, I'm sure you'll forgive me. That iconic scene at the end of episode 1, where did the Dalek emerge from? Was it A, did he come from the sky? Was it B, was it out of the River Thames? Or was it C, under the ground? Well, the answer is B, out of the Thames. And do you know, they used a track under the water, and the Dalek wasn't actually submerged. It was submerged a little bit, but it was on this track, and they had some rope pulling it, you know. So it looked like it was automatically moving out of the water. But it was a very hard scene to do, and they had trouble doing that one. But that is true, that they actually had a track under the water, and they had some rope pulling the Dalek, so it looked like it was moving. But they had trouble at first getting the Dalek to submerge because the water was going in and the operator was getting soaked to death. So anyway, yeah. So they had to do sort of a couple of shots of it to make it look authentic. So the editing boys would do the cutting and everything to make it look as if it was perfect. So anyway, there's the answer. It came out of the water, the River Thames. That's B. Right, question 12. How did the Daleks gain control of planet Earth? Was it A, by attacking the population, right out, straight out, without any messing about? Was it B, unleashing a plague on the population? Or was it C, by camouflaging themselves through a meteor bombardment? Well, you could say it could have been a meteor bombardment, but it was also a plague they unleashed. So it was the plague they unleashed first on the population. Then they bombarded it with meteors. So people will be devastated and have no will to fight or anything. So that's how the Daleks took control of Earth. So the answer is by unleashing a plague on the population. B. Right, moving on to question 13. Unlucky for some. The Robomen, under the orders of the Daleks, placed a bomb that could wipe out the whole of London. Who actually disarmed that bomb? This was at the end of episode 4, I think, of the adventure. So, who was the one of these three that actually disarmed the bomb? Was it A, the Doctor? Was it B, David? Or was it C, Susan? Well, we know Susan is terrified of everything. She was screaming all the way through this, as I can recall. Even a sight of an alligator in the sewers when she was climbing up the ladder got her into a hissy fit of screaming. So it wouldn't have been Susan. It certainly wasn't the doctor because he was ill. Remember, I think he'd sort of caught some infection through being the Daleks tried to robotize him, and he obviously came down with something. But it might not have been that. But he wasn't well enough to do any disarming, so it was left to David. So the answer is B, David. Right, question 14. What creature roamed the mines and also used by the Black Dalek as a pet and also as a watchdog? But remember, it was also a flesh eater as well, so it took what it could get for food. Was it A, a Shrivenzow? Was it B, a sliver? Or was it B, a Drashig? Well, it wasn't a Shrivenzow, because as you recall, in the first adventure with Tom Baker in the what was it called now? It wasn't the Armageddon Factor. Let me see. It was the Ribos operation. That's right. And they had Shrivenzows. As you recall, the inhabitants protected the jewels. You know, the crown jewels type of thing. It was sort of, and they had these guards walking around off duty and on duty doing this ceremonial crap or whatever it was, and the two so-called thieves would come down the rope and they drugged the Shrivenzow, which was laughingly, I think it was two guys in a costume, you know, the same way they did the Merker in the Warriors of the Deep. That was also laughable, wasn't it? But it was actually, I think it was the same guys he used that was in Rent-A-Ghost, you know, Dob in the Wonder Horse. They certainly used them for the Merker. There were two people in that costume, and it was them two. So, yeah, the Shrivenzow was laughable because you could tell it was a bleeding plastic head or whatever head. You could tell it wasn't real, and it was the rest of the body was this walking around sort of thing. The mouth opened up, but it was awful, you know. But anyway, they were Shrivenzows, and they protected the jewels. That's why it's kept as a watchdog, but it was also a lover of human flesh. What a surprise! So anyway, it wasn't a Shrivenzow, and it certainly wasn't a Drashig, because the Drashig, with that iconic moment with John Pertwee pointing his sonic screwdriver or whatever it was, you know, because it was they got onto this sort of marsh gasland, and he was blowing up these possible places where it was dangerous to show how volatile how infixed the atmosphere was, and it only took a spark to enlight it all, so asphyxiate the bloody atmosphere. So he pressed his sonic screwdriver and it all blew up as it was, and then suddenly he had this fucking, sorry, excuse me for my bad language, he had this it was quite good. It was quite authentic. It looked so real when you first saw it. You know, it's good. It's good how they really put great detail into this Drashig, and it came out this swamp. Remember, but as you looked at it, it looked so phony. You know, it didn't look real. You know, and it's obviously I've seen the backstage of it, and they had the guy with an arm, you know, and with the tricks they did with filming and how to miniaturize things and how to enlarge them by the screen, and it's usually the screen that makes it brings it all to life, you know. And then they went into CSO, the blue overlay, the super overlay at the back, but it didn't work in Robot, as you know. It didn't work at all. Remember that toy tank, that laughable toy tank? Oh yeah, I mean you could probably say they must have got that from Matchbox, because it was not authentic at all. But as a 7-year-old kid or 6-year-old kid or a 5-year-old kid, I forgot how old I was then. I'm not going to give my age away. That was basically laughable. Even I could see it looked like a toy tank. It wasn't real. But anyway, so they used a super overlay eventually, but it didn't work. It worked in certain aspects of Doctor Who, but it didn't work in that aspect, and I think it was just at its experimental stage, and it was Barry Lett's idea. He was always one for trying out new things, but the CSO didn't come in until Robot, but it was a good effect on the Drashigs when it came up from the marsh, from the ground, and then it suddenly peered toweringly over the Doctor and Joe Grant. So it looked good, but in reality, you could see it wasn't real. You know, it was a guy with his arm, it was like a guy up his with his arm with a head on his hand. You know, moving it around a bit. So anyway, there's a secret spoil for you. Anyway, never mind. I'm sure you've got your own answers on that one. Answers on a postcard to Doctor Who, not to me. Right, question 15. So obviously the answer was B. Before I get carried away, the answer was B. It was a sliver. That's what the Dalek's pet was. It was a sliver. It was a black Dalek's pet, by the way. Right, question 15. Let's stop this waffling. Let's get on with it quick. I'm waffling on a bit more than I should do. Question 15. When Barbara and Jenny were prisoners of the Daleks, what story did Barbara use as a diversion? Was it A, the French Revolution? Was it B, did she tell the story of the Boston Tea Party? Or was it C, she told them Winnie the Pooh? Well, I'm sure the Daleks would have loved Winnie the Pooh, but the answer was the Boston Tea Party. But she also added in a few other adages of history in there as well, other historical elements in there with Wat Tyler and other things. And as she came up with it, she just made it up, obviously. And the Daleks believed her up to a point, so she could sort of help escape, her and Jenny. So anyway, because they're about to be executed by the Robo-Men as they sent them down their passageway to bring on the execution squad. So there you have it. She told that story just to divert the Daleks. So anyway, question 16. Who gave the orders for the Robo-Men to attack the Daleks? Was it A, David? Was it B, Carl? Was it C, the Doctor? The answer is C, the Doctor. It's actually the Doctor that ordered the Robo-Men to attack the Daleks. Right, we're now moving on to the final 4 questions. And here we go. Question 17. Who diverted the bomb that the Daleks dropped? Who diverted the bomb that the Daleks dropped? This is the final bomb they were going to drop on, so it hit the Earth's core, and so they could turn it into some sort of powerhouse for energy and use it as an engine or whatever. I don't know. The Daleks, only the Daleks know, and the script writers between them know the answer to that one. But anyway, who was it? Who put the planks of wood over the hole to stop the bomb dropping into that hole and be diverted to be sort of rerouted? Was it A, Barbara? Was it B, the Doctor? Or was it C, Ian? The answer was Ian. In the actual film, it was Roy Castle who played Ian, and it was exactly the same thing. He put wood over the... no, sorry, it wasn't. Sorry, not Roy Castle. It was Bernard Cribbins who played Ian, but he was also a policeman. Right, okay. Question 18. So the answer for that, question 17, was C, Ian. Right, question 18. What caused a volcanic eruption? What was the cause of the volcanic eruption? Was it A, the bomb that was actually dropped caused it? Was it B, the destruction of the mine? Or was it C, the explosion caused a crack in the Earth's surface? Well, the answer was A. It was the bomb that was dropped caused it, because it got diverted, remember, and instead of going into the core, it actually went sideways. And there's also a volcano, apparently, in England at that time. Where else? And that set it off. So we had earthquakes and a volcanic eruption. Maybe it's just for effect, who knows. But anyway, that was the answer. A, the bomb. It was the bomb that was dropped. Right, question 19. When Susan is left behind on Earth, who does she settle down with? Which human did she settle down with? Was it A, Carl? Was it B, David? Or was it C, Baker? Well, it wasn't Baker. He was killed early on. Carl didn't care for anybody apart from himself, so it has to be David who had that caring nature. So B, David. Right, the final question. Relief, you hear. Right, here we go then. What did Susan leave on the floor when she walked away? Remember at the end of it when the Doctor left and gave that farewell speech, and then she's just standing there looking at thin air, and then David got hold of her hand, and then she walked with him away, and then suddenly the camera shot zooms into the grass and you see an object on the floor. What was that object? Was it her photograph of her grandfather? Was it B, was it the TARDIS key, or was it C, a mobile phone? Well, I'm sure mobile phones, even in the 60s, even whatever date you put to it, was never invented, so obviously you knew that anyway. But it was B, the TARDIS key, as she has no use for it anymore. Right, that is it. I'd like to thank everybody for joining in for the quiz, and anyone that wasn't here, well, I'm sure you'll join in later. I'll be back on Wednesday with the sci-fi quiz here on my YouTube channel at the same time. So all that remains for me to say is bye from me, your compere, or the host with not so much the most, Lee Anthony Davis. Stay safe, sleep tight, and don't let the bed bugs bite. And I will see you Wednesday night. Bye for now.